This week, we learn the way to paint a Mandalorian. Hi guys, Jonathan from Two Raven Studios. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. Please subscribe. We have new videos every week and you don't want to miss out. So this week, to celebrate the new season of The Mandalorian, we're going to paint some Mandalorians. We have these Clan Wren figures from Star Wars Legion. So these are actually for the Rebels, which I don't have. I actually have a Grand Army of the Republic, a clone army. And if you play Legion, you know that ARC Troopers are pretty much a mythical creature that you can't find. So I'm going to proxy these as my ARC Troopers so I can find some actual ARC Troopers. So I'm actually going to paint them up in a Deathwatch scheme so I can have Bo-Katan and her Deathwatch Troopers fighting alongside my clones, kind of Siege of Mandalore style. This paint scheme is going to be quick and dirty. It's not going to win any awards, but it's going to look pretty cool on the tabletop. So let's grab our brushes and get right into it. We are going to start out with black Templar contrast paint, and you're going to paint the shield, the gloves, the boots, the Ariel on his helmet, and also the bodysuit. You can see that's actually a blue color here, but I didn't like the way that looked once I started painting the rest of the miniature, so I went back over it. So just to save yourself time, do the whole undersuit in this black as well. So just slap a thick coat of this contrast on there, and we'll move on to the next step. Next up, we have bootstrap leather from P3, but any kind of medium brown will do. You're just painting the belt around the middle. This isn't much area, just quickly just go around and paint that belt brown. Next up, we're going to paint the armor, and I'm using CRYX BANE highlight from P3, but again, any kind of neutral gray will work here. The armor of the Deathwatch is different depending on which member you look at, so you can kind of pick which panels you want to paint gray and which ones you're going to do blue. So the helmet and most of the chest and the forearms and shins are all going to be gray. Now anything that was not gray in the last one we're going to paint blue, so we're using CYGNAR blue base. Again, any medium blue will work as well. So painting the rim around the helmet, the shin pads down the front of the shins, and the upper arm armor as well as the shoulder pads are all getting blue. But again, you can kind of decide which panels you want blue, which panels you want the silver color. Alright, you can kind of see I went back and did the bodysuit black because I didn't like it once the blue was on the miniature. You can kind of see where I put what colors. So next up I'm going to use ASHETH Gray from P3. ASHETH Gray is a dark gray color, and we're just going to highlight the bodysuit with it. Next up I'm going to mix some Beast Hide in with that ASHETH Gray and just add some further highlights onto the bodysuit. This is a very subtle thing I'm doing right now. Alright, we're using oil paints because I love oil paints. So we're going to start off with PAYNE'S Gray, and anything that's the gray color on this miniature, we're just going to kind of soak in PAYNE'S Gray, thin down with mineral spirits. Doesn't have to be neat right now, just kind of slop it on. It's going to help bring out all this detail. Next up, we're going to use a dark blue. The color I'm using here is called Winsor blue, and do the same thing on all the blue parts. So just thin down with mineral spirits and kind of slathering it on to darken those areas down. Next up, we're going to do the same thing with burnt umber, just on all the leather parts of the belt. And then using black, I'm just going to go over the bodysuit and anything that's black. Now with a Q-tip, I'm just going to wipe all of that paint that I just put on off. So it's going to leave a little bit in the recesses and kind of give us some nice shading. So this is just a dry Q-tip, just going across the surfaces and cleaning it up. After you finish this step, I'm going to set it aside to dry for a little bit. Alright, now that it's had some time to dry, what we're going to do is we have white with a little bit of Payne's Gray oil paint mixed in. I'm dabbing it on, and then with a soft brush, just kind of feathering it out. This is an easy way we can put some highlights on this. So just dab the paint on, and just kind of brush into it with the soft brush and feather it out. This is one of the cool things about oil paints, as the camera focuses on my hand, that you're going to be able to get blends very easily and smoothly. So this is one of the ways we're going to be able to paint this miniature pretty quick, is by putting these smooth blends in with the oil paints. And just see a little bit of white oil paint and feather it out, and you can kind of see the blend across that panel. I'm actually going to add a blob to the middle of the helmet, do the same thing. You're just going to repeat this process around all of the armor. Now I'm going to kind of do the reverse of what I just did. I'm going to have Payne's Gray with a little bit of black mixed in and put it in the shadows and then feather it up. So we highlight it with this style, and now we're going to add some shading with the same technique. So you put the paint on and then feather it out. There's a little tiny bit of the mineral spirits in this mix, but it's actually a rather thick mix of paint you want for this process. And once this is done, you're probably going to want the miniature to set for a little bit to let that oil paint start to cure before you move on to the next step. Alright, now we're just going to add a bunch of quick highlights. So first we're going to go back to our initial bootstrap leather color and add some highlights to the belt. It's quick and easy, just kind of highlighting different little spots of all the leather. Then we're going to go back in with Beast Hide and repeat the process for finding those highlights. Next we're going to highlight the blue, and the color we're going to use is CYGNAR Blue Highlight. You can kind of see I'm using my broken edge highlights I do in a lot of stuff here. Just kind of dot along the edge so you don't have a complete straight line. I don't know what that was. The camera's having issues in this video if you can't tell a little bit. I think some kind of firmware updated, so sorry about the camera in this video. Then we're going to mix a little bit of underbelly blue in with that last color and highlight further. So this is just a light blue mixed with an off-white, almost blue color. You don't have to use the exact paints I'm using, but you just kind of want something that's a similar color, so you can kind of see on the brush the color that I'm going for here. And again, we're just refining the highlights. Next up, it's time to highlight all the rest of the armor. So we're using our initial color, which was the CRYX Bane highlight, mixed with Sickly Skin, which is an off-white that if you watch my videos, you know I normally use as a replacement for white for most things. Again, we're just kind of doing those broken edge highlights, highlighting around the edges of the armored plates. Catch all those sharp edges with the side of the brush. Kind of add some highlights across the tops of the cylinders of the forearms. and let's just further refine those highlights with pure sickly skin. Again, we're not going for super high refined detail here. We're just going quick and dirty to make something that will look cool on the tabletop. Just go around the tops of all these panels and make them stand out a little bit more. And add some glints of highlight if you want to in the panels themselves. And final thing we need to highlight is the gloves, the boots, and the guns, the black parts. So we're just going to use Graveyard Denim. If you've watched any of my videos, you probably know how I highlight black by now. So first color is Graveyard Denim. Let's go along the edges. Nice highlights. And further refine those highlights with some TROLLBLOOD highlight, which is a nice warm gray color. And apparently the camera wants to focus on my hands instead of the miniature. There we go. But just refine those highlights from the last step. And we're done. So pretty quickly we have a decent tabletop standard miniature. I didn't finish the base yet because I'm not sure what I want to do with the basing on them. But overall, looks pretty cool. I'll get the whole unit painted up and have some proxy ARC troopers for my army. Hope you guys found that useful. I always have fun painting up these Star Wars Legion figures. Just wish I could get a hand of some ARC troopers so I can paint up some really cool figures. If I ever find a box of ARC troopers, you'll definitely see some videos from that. If you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate a like. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss out on any future videos. And I purposely didn't use an airbrush in this video. I know not everyone has an airbrush, and I want to give you guys something that you could do if you don't own one. So if you want more videos like this, let me know in the comments below. If you want to keep up with what I'm doing during the week, you can check out my socials or join our Discord. And until next time, keep on gaming and paint your minis.